because they were like, we want you to do like this post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, this isn't us. We didn't like it. And then later on, talking to Sanjay was like, listen, we booked you. We signed you to be fucking you. Like, be you.
What's up, Bengal fans? It's your host, Joey Karni. I want to thank you for clicking on this video. It was an amazing experience, and I can't wait for you to see the full interview. Now, if you haven't already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below your favorite part at the end of the video. Now enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, The Angle proudly presents the world's most talked about pro wrestling sensation. It's The Angle Podcast. How exciting!
What's up, Bengal fans? It's your host, Joey Karni, and I am back here with another special guest. You know him from Impact Wrestling, and you know him if you know Tag Team Wrestling. He was part of OVE. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Crist. How are you, sir?
Hey, how you doing today?
Good. How's everything hanging with what we're experiencing today, the COVID-19 and
I'll be absolutely real with you, man. It's a weird time to be alive. It's a weird time, with social distancing and with just the way that we as humans are interacting. It's very wild.
Of course. And how has it affected your training, your overall the world of wrestling? How has it changed for you?
Well, I have my own gym in my garage. I have a full gym, so honestly, like working out wise, it hasn't really affected me. I thought I would see, more of the guys who live around here more often, wanting to stay a little bit more in shape, especially after Michael Elgin handed out that challenge of, what are you going to look like when you get back? And
yeah.
I haven't really seen him, but then again, seeing how things have been playing out at Impact, now I understand why I haven't seen guys like my brother and Sami and Fulton. Just they kind of went their own way. I'm over here doing my thing. I'm over here training every day, trying to get bigger, trying to heal this back up, and that's about it.
How has your view changed? I mean, now that there's no fans allowed at ringside, so how does that really affect how you go about your ring style and just overall your mindset in the ring?
I own my own wrestling school, so obviously when I train, I have practice matches with my kids, and having matches with my kids at training, there's obviously no one there, so I've always had the mindset of you practice like it's a show. You practice like you're out in front of people. So it really hasn't changed for me. I'm still going to interact the same. I'm still going to do the same thing. I still give the same facial expressions and so on and so forth. But that's because for years now, I've been training myself to wrestle like there's nobody. And working on the indies, sometimes you go out there and there are nobody out there. I've worked IWA shows back in the day in front of, 5 people.
Wow.
So, I mean, there's really no difference.
And now that you're talking about the independent scene, you and your brother have really been everywhere. Is there one specific company or organization you guys or that you were in that really changed your outlook or really changed your career for you?
So starting out at HWA, we started out with guys like Matt Stryker, Unibrow, not teacher. Guys like Nigel McGuinness, Chad Collier, the Jablonski brothers. We constantly had tons of people coming in and out from around the independents, and guys that were former and current WWE stars. Like back in the day, Jamie Noble used to come up. Crispin Waugh would come up, and just, when we would be training, they would come up and they would use the extra ring whenever WWE was in town. So I would say HWA has definitely influenced my wrestling career and really helped me flourish when I was younger. Later on, places like CZW really helped me out because it was a different crowd. It was a harder crowd. It was a crowd that, you had to work to get the respect of. So wrestling at the ECW arena and places like that really helped shape my perspective on wrestling, and having to go to different places and things of that nature. And then I went to a place called Strictly Insane out of Evansville, Indiana, where it was more Memphis style. It was more, they wanted you to talk more and interact more and wrestle less.
Oh, wow.
They didn't care about the high spots. They didn't care about the actual wrestling. They wanted to be played with. So HWA was a style of all three, where they like the wrestling, they like the storytelling, and they like the high spots. And then CZW really wasn't. They really didn't care about a lot of the story. They didn't really care about. They just wanted to go out there and either see blood and guts, or they wanted to see the boys go out there and just wrestle, and they just wanted the pure wrestling and the high spots of it. And then a place like Evansville, all they wanted was that. So I got to really learn and hone in my skills to be able to do all aspects of wrestling through there.
Wow.
And all three of those companies really helped me out a lot.
That's great. And for you, I mean, you've been in tag team wrestling for majority of your career, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did that really start when you guys first got into the business? Did you and your brother say, hey, we're going to be a tag team, or was it one or your decision, or how did you guys break into the tag team?
In all honesty, the way that it worked out was, at first, the first company we worked for, they didn't let us really do a lot of tag stuff because they wanted to break us up. It was a place called OCW. We worked for a place called OCW and UCW in Dayton, Ohio.
Okay.
And they utilized us better as singles wrestlers because it enabled them to have two good matches as opposed to one.
Of course.
So we did a lot of single stuff, and then once we got into HWA, that's when we really started to do tag team wrestling. And we were probably 8 months into having matches at that point in time when we started doing HWA. So there's that. But then there was a period of time where my brother had kind of retired a little bit. I think he was gone for about 1.5 years, 2 years. And that's when I really broke out. That's when we really started to gain ground, because it was like at that point in time, my brother was just coming back into wrestling, and he really hadn't started traveling a lot when we got signed by Impact.
Gotcha.
So it was kind of like, once he did come back, we did PWG, we did a lot of places like that, PCW in California, and that was like kind of built off of, we were getting ready to start working for PCW well before he came back. That was like, I had already been booked to wrestle for them, to wrestle Mecha Wolf. But then, we started to do some stuff based on the fact that, I hadn't quit, he had quit. And then, I started to get a lot of buzz with my gifts and things of that nature. And I think that's really helped us and furthered our career, was all the gifts and all that kind of stuff, from that time period. So I would say altogether, that out of the almost 20 years that we've been involved in wrestling, it was probably about 2.5, maybe 3 years that we weren't really a tag team.
Wow.
But of the rest of the time, we were a pretty solid tag team.
Awesome. And do you have a preference based on or singles action or tag team wrestling? Is there a preference for you?
No, it really doesn't make a difference. Like, obviously, once I got hurt and my back started hurting, obviously my brother liked to probably do more single stuff instead of trying to carry me.
Yeah.
But it was kind of, either one. It's whatever was going to benefit the crowd more. If people wanted us as a tag, then I was down. If they wanted to see us as a singles wrestler, I was down. It's whatever they wanted, whatever the promoter needed.
Of course. And you guys are very, very vocal and very open about representing Ohio. How, and I see that with a lot of other superstars too. How did you figure out a way to represent Ohio, but add it into the gimmick as you guys have?
Well, so when the Ohio stuff first started, we started as OI4K. The Ohio is for Killers.
Yeah.
That was the first name. And then I was approached by Impact, and they were like, hey, how would you feel about selling us that name? And I'm like, nah, I don't want to sell it. And then Sanjay Dutt was like, well, how about Ohio versus everything? And I'm like, I'm down.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of, Eminem had that Detroit versus everything, and it was like a very Midwest thing. It's Midwest versus everything was really kind of like something that had taken over. And then I had started OI4K for my living room. It was me and my girlfriend. We were talking about it, and then I started to do it, and then I called my brother and was like, hey, what do you think about this? And then Sami was in New Jersey at the time, and we kind of talked to him about it. And we didn't really do a lot of stuff with Sami when he was in New Jersey, but once he started to make more rounds where we started to do OI4K everywhere. And then my brother's wife, and then when we were the Killers at AAW, Jessica Havoc kind of got involved, and they were all Ohio people, so it just all kind of fit them. And at one point in time, Desmond Xavier, Zachary Wentz, Trey Miguel, Samantha Heights, pretty much anyone that was from the Dayton, Ohio area was a part of OI4K at one point in time.
Wow. That's really impressive. And when did you guys, maybe it was with Impact, when did you guys, you said you were with Sami before Impact Wrestling, but how did you guys really form the OVE in Impact Wrestling to get it to the main event scene?
Well, my brother and I had already been in Impact for a while. Jeff Jarrett and a couple other guys, they had us doing the OVE stuff, and that's when we had the eye makeup and things of that that just really wasn't working out for us. Like we weren't fully bought into that. Like I remember going, and when we were going, it was just kind of like my brother hated to do the eye makeup, and we would discuss how much we just did not like that aspect. And then we kind of just started to do, because they were like, we want you to do like this post-apocalyptic thing.
Yeah. And
it's like, well, this isn't us. We didn't like it. And then later on, talking to Sanjay was like, listen, we booked you. We signed you to be fucking you. Like, be you. Yeah. Just be you. And then that's when everything started kind of like falling into place. That's where I think that we became more entertaining. And then Sami got involved with some of our stuff with LAX. And then he signed, and then that's when everything kind of just took off, because like Sami was kind of like the missing piece for us. It was always kind of like Sami was always the better talker out of the three of us. Okay. And then, like I would say that I was probably the second best talker. I wasn't as necessarily a big fan of like my brother's promos until he found himself.
Yeah.
I would always get messages like, I would always have to defend my brother's promos, because I mean, I'm not trying to make fun of my brother, but
of course
his promos were never really the strong suit, but his wrestling is, he's probably one of the most underrated wrestlers as far as wrestling goes. But as far as promos go, it was always kind of like, damn, bro, we had that take, and then you start talking. But once he found his character as the golden draw, I think his promos got better. But Sami was always that missing piece, because Sami was always that intense. He was always that that figurehead where, you know, I always did my own thing. Like someone would always describe like what was the dynamic of OVE, and it's like, okay, well, my brother was always kind of like the dude that followed and was always like kind of mimicking other people, which, you know, when he started to do the stuff with Sami, mimicking Sami, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
But I was always kind of behind, like just doing my own thing, just questioning and kind of making fun of the two of them. Because like sometimes Sami would say outlandish things that I would never agree with. So I would kind of poke fun a little bit, and then he would try to put me back into my place. And as soon as he turned around, I was right there making fun of him again. So, I mean, I'm sure if you've seen any of our promos, you saw that dynamic where it was me and then the two of them. And then my brother, when he tried to be Sami, it became one, and then me. And then once we added Fulton was the muscle. But Fulton is a very good speaker. And I'm really glad that he kind of was able to showcase that towards the end.
I'm glad to see him, Fulton, being more on the mic. And back to what you were saying when you guys first got together with Sami, I think it just meshed so well because, like you said, you have all different styles. You're more of the talker, or Sami's more of the talker, and you and your brother have, you know, your differences, and it all just meshes together. When did you guys, or how did you guys find out that Fulton was going to be added to OVE?
So we started to do a lot of stuff in Dayton. We owned, or we didn't own, we helped run Rockstar Pro. And once Fulton moved to Ohio, he started to come to Rockstar. And then that's when we kind of like was like, hey, we could really like use him in our group. Like, let's get him in our group. Yeah. And then he kind of joined in.
Wow. And I mean, OVE was one of the best, I think, groups, factions, whatever you want to call it, I've ever seen in Impact in their history. I mean, this was a mainstream group with a real purpose that was just, you know, kicking ass and taking names everywhere. What was it like to work with people like Ken Shamrock and, you know, seeing Sami win the world title? How was that all
It was, I think the OVE run was a very iconic run. I think we did a lot of stuff that no one ever thought that we would do. I think that we got the opportunity to be something that no one really thought that we could be. So I think that was really something that was special. I think that we had something that was unduplicatable. Not that that's a word or anything, but I just made it a word.
No, and I completely get what you're saying too. Wow.
I don't think anyone can duplicate what we did because we did have such good chemistry and we have such good, you know, back and forth, and our interactions were always on point, and we always had that ability to draw people in with whatever emotion we were trying to get across. And I think that that's what made us so special as a group, is that we do have that ability to get people drawn in, doing the things that we do, and having fun doing it, because doing stuff with them was always entertaining. It was always fun. I always enjoyed just being with them because they're my brothers. So it's always fun. It's always entertaining, and I always enjoy being around them.
And I think the biggest thing too is the authenticity of the group. Like you said, being told, you know, be who you are. Don't let us, you know, create something for you. Be who you are. That authenticity really, you know, shining through everybody else. And I think that's what really what people grabbed onto is how real how real it was. How do you see now that you guys are kind of disbanded at this point, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And my brother just kicked me in the face on Tuesday.
I saw that. I was gonna get to that too. How was that kick?
Well, I mean,
especially being from your brother.
I've been kicked by him before, so it's nothing new. And like I tweeted out the other day, my brother's always been a follower. So
I saw that.
it's,
Now,
it's one of those things where when I saw that Joey had no interest in somebody that had his own voice, and, I was just kind of like, oh, okay, I can see where this is going now. And you saw the surprise in my eyes. But then after that, it was kind of like, well, kind of saw it coming.
gotcha. Yeah, I think at that point during that promo, I kind of saw it coming, but I didn't want to say it to myself. I'm like, I know where this is going. But when did you guys find out? Was it Impact who told you guys are disbanding, or was it you guys who decided that it's time that OVE kind of goes their separate ways? I saw it for a little while with Fulton kind of doing his thing, and he kind of broke off, and then Sammy broke off, and
I think that we all kind of just needed a break. I think because OVE, OI4K, we've been doing stuff now for like 10 years. So it was kind of like, we don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're doing. We don't know like where things are going to go in the future. But like, I'm hurt. I've been hurt now for almost 2 years. I got hurt during the LAX feud, and then working Pro Wrestling Revolver furthered my injury and made it worse. So all I need is some time off. I need some relaxation. And this COVID thing has really like helped me out with that, because dealing with 4 bulging discs and having limited feeling of my legs, it's been kind of been one of those things where it's been rough. It's been hard to deal with, but also it's like, it's put things in perspective. Like our contracts are up in January, and I don't know where it goes from there. Maybe we resign, maybe we don't, whatever. But I kind of have this like, I know I need surgery, so I don't know where it goes from there.
Gotcha. And now that, like you said, OVE is kind of put on hold for the time being, do you ever see it coming back at one point? Whether
I would like
Impact or somebody else or somewhere else?
I think we needed time to cool off. I think we needed time to do our own stuff and to shine our own stuff up. But I think eventually we're come back around. All great factions always come back around.
Of course.
So I think that we just need time to do our own thing and then go from there.
Of course. And when your body does get right, there's no really timetable for that. Injury is an injury. What is your biggest goal for when you do get back? Whether in Impact or anywhere else, is it an Impact, the X Division title? Is it a world title? What's your goal?
I just want to have the style of matches I used to have. I want to be able to go like I used to go. Like, if you see me the past 2 years, like if you watch my older stuff compared to what I'm doing now, there's no comparison. Like, I used to be much better than I am right now, and I want to get back to that. So if I can get back to that, that's my goal. That's what I would like. But, maybe in January I never wrestle again. Who knows?
Yeah, that's always a possibility. With what is happening with your brother currently in the storyline, he's going to be with Cancel Culture. Is that what the story's going?
I think so. Yeah, I think he just joined.
He's going to be with Cancel Culture. And
yeah.
Are you going to be feuding with him at all, or is it just that was kind of you don't know what's going on?
I think that's our parting shots. I think I'm going to do my thing, they do their thing, and then we'll see where it comes up.
Wow. And with everything that's happening with COVID-19 and now the protesting, do you have any thoughts as to what or how you feel about everything that's happening? Because I know it affects everything. It affects the wrestling business. It really does affect everything.
Well, with the protest and with like COVID-19 still being a very real thing, and then there is predicted that towards mid-January or towards mid-June, we're supposed to have another spike and all that kind of stuff. And then, like, I don't know, man, we live in a scary time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a supporter of the protest. I think that it's about time that everyone starts working together. But I think my biggest thing is there's always so much talk. There's always so much, this is what I'm doing on the internet. This is what I'm doing to help. This is what I'm doing to help. And there's so much talking. But where's the action? When do we see the action? Because, how many times do we see stuff like this and then 6 months from now, no one's going to be talking about it. Life's going to go on, and we're going to keep repeating the same cycle over and over and over and over. And it's like, we as a people just need to be better. We need to stop talking. Like, I'm so sick and tired of, like, wrestlers and athletes and stuff like this, like, talking about how we need to change.
Yep.
But then once the next big topic comes up, we're going to move to that, and that's going to be important, and everyone's going to have a hot take on that. Like,
Yep.
I just really wish that people, wrestlers in general, would just shut the fuck up and just do it. Stop talking about it and do it.
Yeah.
I think that's, and I'm sorry for cursing.
No, absolutely. Absolutely.
But I think that that's the biggest problem with society today is we just keep talking about it and nobody ever really does anything about it. Like, I know people, especially in my family, there are people who have voted for Donald Trump because they're very pro-Republican.
Yeah.
And it's like, and now they're talking about how, we need to get Donald Trump out of here. We need to do this. Well, you helped put him in.
Yeah.
And it's the lesser of two evils. Okay, lesser of two evils, like Hillary or him, that's fine. But I get the lesser of two evil approach, but you can still vote for a third party. If enough people that voted for the lesser of two evils, a third party could have got elected for the first time ever.
Yep.
Well, not really. I guess back in the day, I don't know, history lessons, whatever. But
No,
but it's like, if
it.
enough people would have voted third party, that you could do write-ins. If you feel so strongly about Bernie Sanders, you can have a write-in. Can you not? Is that not in the ballot? Oh yeah, it is. You could have put Bernie Sanders in as a write-in.
And technically,
right now,
he's still on the ballot right now. So
yeah,
that's what I think.
Right now, everyone's like, oh, lesser of two evils, Trump or Biden. Well, are you not paying attention to the social climate? Are you not paying attention to what's going on? Trump talking about opening fire on American citizens, and you're still considering that he would be the lesser of two evils? You have to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
I never
understood the mindset. It's the same thing with people, how they react to different wrestling companies. You can like that person, you can like that whatever, but you can also disagree with them. You don't have to say yes to everything they say.
Yeah.
And I don't think that people, especially when it comes to what's happening now, it's a yes or no. There's no middle ground yet. There is a middle ground, and just a spot that no one's talking about.
Well, it's like, we're taking back some. You have President Bush. He served 2 terms. So you have President Bush, and 9/11 happened under his watch. A lot of people think that 9/11 was an inside job. Whatever the conspiracy theory that you believe in is, that's neither here nor there. That doesn't matter. But if you look at the way that President Bush ran, like what he stood for, there were several different people that were better for the job. Whoever you would have voted for, there could have been people that were better for the job. And then you have, and I would have debates and arguments about how President Bush's, it's the same thing with Trump. If you look at the way that they were talking, if you look at the way that their parties were designed, if you were middle class or even lower upper class, they didn't benefit you. They're working against you, and yet you still want to vote for them, even though you're going to complain later on when, the taxes are too high and they're cutting Medicare and they're doing this and they're doing that. And it's like, well, you help vote because you think that you're a Republican.
Yep.
But in all actuality, you don't make enough money to actually be a Republican. You fall in that category of being a Democrat, but your parents thought that they were Republicans because they believed in the 70s and the 80s that Republicans were this, which if you look at the way that the Republican and the Democratic Party has changed from the 70s to now, it's drastically changed.
Yeah.
It's not the same parties. You should have a different name for the two parties now, because the two parties have changed so much that they're really not fitting what the Democrats and the Republicans really were when they first started. And even, you look back, to the first president and so on and so forth, the way that the parties have changed so much since then. And I don't think enough people actually pay attention to candidates. I think people just pay attention to, I'm a Republican, so I'm going to vote Republican.
Of course.
Well, you're a fucking idiot for not being educated. And then there were so many people, Obama's a terrible president, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But you're still in the same boat where you're getting your medical stuff paid for, you're getting food stamps and you're doing this when, if you look at Obama was trying to give you more, but the Republicans were like, whoa. Like, even if you go back and look at, we got this stimulus package of $1,200, where the way that we got the stimulus package, if you look at the Republicans' plan, where the Republicans are like, okay, listen, let's give these folks $2,000 a month so they can live. And then the Republicans were like, well, wait a minute. Let's do $1,200 and we bail out all these rich companies like your Targets and your Walmarts and places like that. Let's give them a $500 billion bailout.
Yep. And
not worry so much about these lower class people. And that was like the struggle between, the first stimulus bill. And there have been talked about doing a second stimulus bill, which I don't know where we are. I think it passed in the House, but I think it got killed at the Senate. And they're still working on a second stimulus package to help reboot the economy, because people are still struggling so much to be able to survive, because, most places have kind of reopened. Yeah. But what about the 2 months that we didn't have anything going on? That's 2 months of debt that we now, accrued over time that we have to deal with. And there's no way that we're going to be able to boost the economy anytime soon if we don't get some sort of a bailout, as far as, the average, your average Joe. And I understand that you're worried about your friends at Walmart and your friends at Target and all these big companies. When NBA teams and baseball teams and people like that who are worth millions are getting a $5 million bailout. Well, for what? Like, are you going to be giving your employees that can't work now, are you giving them that $5 million, or are you taking it because you took a hit and the $1 billion team that you have is now only worth $1.5 billion as opposed to $2 billion?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how the economic system works in professional sports, so maybe I'm speaking out of turn, and if somebody wants to educate me on that, then cool. But I kind of feel like the upper, lower to middle class and lower class, I think that they would better serve a bailout than the big banks and the big Walmarts and places like that. The people who are worth millions. I understand that you're losing business, but tell me exactly how Walmart is losing business again. Tell me how they hadn't,
Yeah.
considering for months now you can't go into a Walmart without finding empty shelves.
Yeah.
So which means that all your stuff's being bought up, which means you're getting profit, which means you're making money.
It's not like they work. It's not like those companies go week to week with, the financials. They're set for long periods of time.
Oh, life.
Yeah.
Our life.
Yeah. And being able to provide that money to the people you're talking about, that giving them that money allows them to put money back into the economy. So,
Exactly.
and that's what they look for. They're looking to rebuild the economy. That money goes back to the economy. That's why they're giving it to you in the first place.
Stimulus goes.
Exactly.
That's where stimulus goes. But it all is one thing.
Yep.
We had the COVID stuff. We had so much tension building in America because a lot of people didn't know when their next paycheck was going to be. A lot of people were out of jobs. A lot of people weren't getting unemployment. A lot of people weren't getting and didn't have the ability to feed their kids.
Yeah.
So all of this tension started building up. And then, the Minneapolis stuff happened. And I think that really, really helped spark this outcry, this pouring of emotion and fear. Because do I think that we as a people feel for the people who lost somebody? Yes, I do. But I also feel like the fear and the anger that we have also help fuel it. I think it was a 50-50 thing.
Agreed.
I think that the protests have been really good. I think the protests have been a really good thing for America. But do I think that our lawmakers and the officials that have opened fire and using rubber bullets and tear gas and things of that nature, do I think that helped shape the rioters in a different form and a fashion? 100%.
Oh.
I think that the fact that you could find piles of bricks.
I saw that.
At a street corner that the rioters were being shoved towards. Yep. Do you not think that and then on top of that, if you look at the way that the rioters were being shaped and pushed, they were being pushed towards your lower and your middle class business owners, your black and minority business owners. They were being pushed that way.
Yep.
And all they did was destroy, the middle class people's stuff. And on top of that, you deterred them from your upper class.
Yep.
You deterred them from your the people who could afford. I have a friend that owns a shoe company or a shoe shop in Columbus, Ohio. Well, he got looted and he has nothing now.
Wow.
It was like $23,000 worth of shoes, all gone. $23,000 worth of shoes that he'll never get back.
And you're also closed due to COVID too, so you're already.
He was already hurt.
Yeah.
He had shoes that he was trying to sell on eBay just to make ends meet, to be able to provide the opportunity for him to live his American dream. And now his American dream is now destroyed because that's the way that lawmakers and that's the way that the police pushed the protesters.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't go anywhere near the baseball stadiums or or the banks, the major banks. It didn't go anywhere near places like that.
Yeah.
It didn't go anywhere near places where the upper class was going to be hurt. It was the middle class folks that took the biggest hit during this whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's one of those situations where who really got hurt the most by all of this? It was us. It was the middle class. It was the upper lower class. Not that there's really a such thing as the upper lower class, but I feel like there's the upper class, there's the upper
So many
lower
different groups in between what they tell us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that racism and classism go hand in hand. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what race you are if you are a certain class, because the upper class look at you in a certain way. And then on top of that, you add the race in as well, then it just makes it worse and worse. Because you could be black in upper class and still get the same treatment as a lower class, a black man. It's because the color of your skin, and that's what I think needs to change. Is I think that the people need to stop looking at skin tone, and people need to stop looking at class of people, and start looking at people as people.
Well, I think also when you're going to vote somebody into office, they're not necessarily, I know a lot do, but they're not looking at someone for that kind of idea. They're more focused on their political views than they are their human rights views, because that's how they label it, that's how they promote it. And
if you know anything about
yeah,
if you know anything about Trump's past, you know he's been a racist.
Yeah.
Since the 80s. Like, here's my thing. Like, I hate it. Like, you can go back and look at interviews with Trump back in the day, like 80s, mid 90s, and where he would be like, yeah, you know, I hire people of color. I hire the blacks. And I'm like, that just sounds so dirty. The blacks. Or people of color.
Yeah.
How about you just say, I hire people of all races, all creeds, and all religions? How about that? How about you make it sound less dirty? When he's like, oh yeah, I hire the blacks. I'm not racist. I hire the blacks.
Yeah.
Well, that, to me, that makes you racist. That makes you sound so racist.
If the roles were reversed, they wouldn't say I hired the whites. You know, it's not a, and that's another thing too, is the terminology that people use. I have friends who are black and who have been in situations where it's like for comedic fun, they say things that are racist. But if you look at that kind of situation, it may be funny in that moment if you're making a joke, but life goes on like that, and you start to think like that because it's okay, because people think it's funny, because, you know, you may have a black friend that thinks it's funny, and it just becomes a part of your vocabulary. Yeah.
And, you know, that just goes back to, I was saying this the other day to my students, it just goes back to education. Yep. You got to educate yourself. You got to learn to have culture. The more culture you gain, the more of a respect that you're going to have for different races, different creeds, different religions, things of that nature. I was very close-minded at one point in time about religion. Very close-minded about religion, because I had something terrible happen to me when I was younger, that my Sunday school teacher, she did something terrible to me. So I looked at all religion as being bad from that point forward. You know, how can you tell a 10-year-old that this isn't all religious people, it's just this one person? So I started looking at all religions being bad. Now I've educated myself to the point to where it's like, religion isn't bad. It's the people sometimes are bad.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter where you are. There are some, like Rude Boy Riley. He turned out to be a pedophile. I let that man sleep in my house at one point in time. I let him, his car full of people, stay at my house. My roommate had his 5-year-old daughter upstairs.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about this dude. I was trying to be a good dude and allow someone to crash instead of driving 10 hours back home. I was like, hey, man, come crash. I got you. No worries. We're just talking about wrestling, have some fun. And then turns out a couple weeks later, this dude was a monster.
Wow.
But should all wrestlers be persecuted like that? Turns out, sounds like Sonny might be a racist. Does that mean that all pro wrestlers are racist? I mean, to me, not really. So how can you look at all African Americans as being bad? How can you look at all Muslims as being bad, all Hispanics as being bad? Because you might have had one bad experience with one person.
Yep.
I've had more bad experiences with white people than I had any other.
So have I.
So it's like, at that point, does that mean all white people are bad? No, I think that we just need to do a better job at educating ourselves. We need to do a better job at understanding the issues. Like when they're missing the point and they're missing the understanding of what Black Lives Matter means.
Yep.
They're not saying that only Black Lives Matter. That's not the whole point. Yep. It's all lives matter. Yes, we understand. But until Black lives do matter, all lives can't matter.
Yeah. Because
Black lives don't matter to certain people. So you can't say all lives matter when you have a whole section of people where they're being persecuted against and their lives mean less to other people.
Yep. I saw a really great analogy for it where this girl was talking, I think I saw it on TikTok. This girl was talking about how there's a bunch of people sitting at a table, all different, religions and everything. And one Black person doesn't get food, or one person doesn't get food. And the person says, I didn't get food. Food's important. And then everybody at the table says, yeah, food's important. And then they say, well, you got food. We didn't get any food. All food is important, but you got your food. And it was a great analogy to explain, that all lives do matter, yes, but until Black lives matter, all lives don't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% agree. I can't wait to live in a world where all lives do matter. Yep. I can't wait to live in that world where I can say all lives matter, guys. But until we allow our brothers and sisters of different cultures and different races to actually matter in our society, and not just act as if they do. Just stop pretending like they do.
Yeah, when they post on social media all you want. And
yeah.
Like,
I hate it when people are like, I'm not racist, but.
Yeah, that's always how it starts. I'm not racist, but.
And it's like, okay. And I'm listening to their jokes. I'm like, I'm not racist, but I think it's funny how white people think toothpaste is spicy. And they're like, but you're white. I'm like, I know. And I know how spicy that shit is. And it's like, they don't get the joke. They don't understand. The joke is, it's not fucking funny.
Yep.
When you have to start something out with, listen, I'm not racist, but, well, no, you are. You're 100% a racist if you have to present it with, I'm not racist, but.
Yeah. It's like when someone says to you, I don't want to be rude, but, well, I mean.
Guess what, motherfucker? You're about to be rude.
Exactly. I tried explaining it to my 10-year-old cousin because he asked me a question, like, and it's funny how the younger kids who are not really involved as us adults are with politics and things like that. And he says, how do we decide, who's good or a bad politician? And I said, well, you kind of have to look at it as the way you would pick your friends. Do you pick your friends based upon their political views, or do you pick your friends on if they're nice and they treat people fairly and they, how do you, those type of issues, the human issues.
Yeah.
And he understood it. And I think it's a big thing too. Like what you were saying, too, like putting those bricks in lower cities where they're kind of forcing people in a way to, oh, now we have to use this and we're going to create violence.
Yeah.
Well, the violence and the riots gives them the opportunity to label and to make money and profit, because the real thing is, if you want to take the power away from them, it's through voting.
Yeah.
And
But
farthest
on
they
top
can get
of
away
that,
from the voting is what they'll do.
yeah, but on top of that, nobody's educated on our amendments.
That's the problem. It comes down
No
to
one is
education.
educated. No one's educated the fact that at any point in time, if we wanted to, the minute we feel like we're being misrepresented or we're under tyranny, there is an amendment. There's something in the Constitution that says your American right is to fight out. Your American right is to seek out change.
Yep.
But most people don't really understand that. Now, I'm paraphrasing. That's not the exact words of what they said, but that's the gist of what that means. At any point in time, you can fight your persecutors. At any point in time, you can fight against unjust, just like we did against the British. That's how we're here. We're here. Our country is based on people working together. Our country was based on people of every race and every creed getting together saying, you know what, I'm tired of being taxed without representation. I'm tired of being, persecuted against my will. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of that. We're fighting back.
Well,
And
it's
at some
crazy how
point,
you have to have 50 states protests in all 50 states. I mean, every state has something going on, and that's what we have to do in order to get someone get a fair or take fair responsibility, like these cops. To get all 4 of them arrested, you have to protest. Like, I don't understand it. It's murder.
Yeah.
All the cops, you said murder. It was,
my favorite is he had meth in his system. Show me where the meth was, because all the autopsies I've seen, all the stuff that I've seen, none of them said he had anything in his system. He said that his lungs were crushed.
Yeah.
His windpipe
on his back. Yep.
So at what point in time did he have meth in his system?
I was seeing videos of people being arrested and cops forcing weapons into their hands for cause.
Yeah.
And it's all on camera. And then there's people are saying, oh, there's people dressing up as cops, and putting and doing that to people. I don't know.
You know what? Here's the thing. That's a 50-50 thing. Maybe they're right, but maybe they're wrong.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. We have this thing. It's called Facebook.
Yep.
All you got to do is upload those pictures, and you can tell if they're a cop or not. Yep. Because we have so much face technology that allows us to tag people, even if you don't even know the person.
Yeah, someone's going to look it up, and millions of people are going to look it up. They're going to find a way.
It's not hard. It's not hard. Do I believe that there are some crazy people out there that are probably dressing up as cops and pose as if they're the police, just trying to start problems? Yes.
There was someone dressed as Batman out there. I saw,
yeah,
people.
But here's my biggest thing. Here's the thing that people need to understand. We've already discussed how not all white people, not all African Americans, not all Muslims, not all Hispanics, not all people are bad. That also goes for cops.
Agreed.
Not all cops are bad. Cops go out every day, risk their life. Sometimes they don't know, not sometimes, every morning they don't know when they get in their car, they don't know if they're coming home. This could be their last day. And we take that for granted as well. We take for granted that these people unselfishly put their lives on the line every day to make sure that your and I's freedoms are protected. But sometimes there are bad apples. My thing is, if you've watched Family Matters, you know Carl Winslow is a good cop. He's a fair cop, but there was an episode where 1.5 cops were bad. Because one was definitely bad and the other one was just following the lead of his superior.
Yeah.
But right there, not all cops are bad. So by us attacking, the police officers that are assigned to make sure that it does, like, yeah, there are some places where tear gas is being used and some people are 100% racist. I believe that there are some people on the police force that are 100% racist,
Yep.
that are using this as an excuse to push their agenda. But I also believe that there are some really good cops out there. If you look at the guy from Flint, the police officer from Flint, amazing. There are scenes and there are stuff where police chiefs are just laying down their stuff and joining the protest and creating a parade as opposed to more violence.
Yep.
I believe that, 100%, I believe that these things start out as being peaceful, but the minute you start tear gassing, the minute you start firing rubber bullets.
As soon as you get aggressive.
But here in Dayton, I've seen, one day I saw, it started with a protester throwing a rock and hitting a cop. And then all hell broke loose.
Yep.
The next day they had protests again. The minute that someone looked like they were about to do something, they started tear gassing them. So whose fault is that? If the first stone wasn't cast, maybe it would have never happened.
Of course.
And I'm not saying that's like that across the board. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying in my hometown, there was a kid that threw a rock and cracked the face of a police officer, a lady police officer.
Wow.
Like, hit her with a brick right here and just, but nobody's reporting about that because she doesn't want it, because she's an African-American lady that doesn't want it to be reported. She just put her hand on her face and she left. But then all these, the minute if I hit your nephew, what are you going to do to me?
Exactly.
I would hope that you would attack me. I would hope you would defend him. Yeah. It's the same thing. Not all cops are bad, but under these times, all tensions are high.
Yep.
We don't know what we're doing. We don't know where we're at. We don't know, what people are doing.
And people are reacting off instinct. If they think someone's gonna, someone looks like they're about to do something, they have to make a decision.
Yeah. And it all goes down to one bad decision turned into 4 bad decisions.
Yep.
Because that one cop holding someone down,
yep,
killing him, and then the other 3 cops just watching,
yep, and
letting it happen. 4 bad decisions led to thousands of bad decisions.
Yep.
And that's the domino effect of America. It's something needs to change. We as people need to change. We need to educate ourselves. We need to make sure that we understand that we're all eating the same shit sandwiches. We're all just trying to get the same piece of pie. Why can't we work together?
Exactly. I feel like I'm hopeful that we'll get to a point, where that is possible, and it is possible. But just like you said, like there's a few people, 2 out of 10 that will spoil it for everybody.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If we're going to do that, if that's going to be a thing, the biggest thing is this. 6 months from now, we have to remember this.
Yep.
6 months from now, we can't go on to the next hot button topic.
Yep. And that's
we can't wait. We can't wait until someone else dies.
Yeah.
Because why is it that every 6 months something like this comes up and racial tensions are flaring, blah, 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 wherever they are? Last year it was like, what, Ferguson?
Yeah, well, if you look back just this year alone, I mean, January we had those fires in Australia. Everybody was trying to, take care of that and help, and then forgotten about. And then we had the coronavirus. I have yet to see anything about coronavirus on any news stations that I've seen in the last week.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Everyone's talking about to protest.
It's funny how coronavirus isn't a thing anymore.
Yeah, just out of nowhere. And it makes you even start to think, like, how bad was it really? Of course, hundreds of thousands of people affected all around the world. People died, but they tell us that it's bad. So, you know, now everything is just gone. I don't know. I don't know how that works.
It's the attention span of the average American. We don't care about anything that doesn't affect us personally.
Yep.
Because, because this, like, my favorite is, oh, I'm protesting because my friend is black. How about you're just protesting because it's what's right?
Exactly.
How about you're protesting not because of somebody else, but because you know you are a decent human being and you understand how oppressing somebody else's rights and how treating somebody else so wrongly is wrong? How about that? How about that becomes a thing?
Well, I heard somebody say that they're protesting because they like black people. Like, your intentions are good, but you have to educate yourself as to why are you doing this.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wish that people would just take more time to read. I wish people would take more time to watch a documentary or watch something to educate themselves.
Yeah. And they're out there.
Fun.
They're available to everyone, either on Netflix or YouTube, or they're
Netflix has documentary?
Yeah.
Well, gee whiz. Did not know that. YouTube has them too?
YouTube.
It seems like it's readily available. How am I not seeing this before?
Yeah. It's just it's crazy how the world works, man.
It's ridiculous. I don't understand people. I don't understand the way people think. I don't understand the way people do things. I don't know. Maybe I'm in the wrong era. Maybe I just don't belong in this world. But I just have a hard time sitting back and just thinking to myself, like, this is normal. This is normalcy.
Yeah.
This is how people, like, our forefathers fought for everyone's freedom.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, it's like, you know what? It's time to oppress these people. And then slaves became a thing. Not that it wasn't a thing before, but you know what I mean?
Of course.
We're a country based on freedom, but yet we, oppressed somebody else's freedom.
Yeah.
And it happened for hundreds of years.
Yep.
And then
practice what you preach.
We finally abolished it. It's gone. It's gone. It's 2020 now. And we're still fighting that same war Abraham Lincoln fought.
Yeah.
We're still fighting that same war that, the Dr. Martin Luther King. I mean,
yep.
We're still fighting the same wars that have been going on for hundreds of years, and nothing has changed. So what does that say about us as people? Yep. What does that say about what's wrong with us?
Yep. People complain about the laws and people complain about the ideas, but they're created by people.
Yeah. We have the ability to vote. We have the ability to change, but everyone says the same bullshit. Yep. My voice isn't going to change anything. Bullshit. You would have fucking voted, maybe we wouldn't be where we are right now.
Yeah. And it's funny because a lot of people who are out there protesting never voted.
Yeah.
It depends. Yeah. Crazy stuff.
It's life's crazy like that.
But I'm sure we'll find a way to somehow. I don't even know what the word is to help the situation or to end it. I don't know what that term is, because
we're gonna find a way to hide it. We're gonna find a way to pretend like this didn't happen.
Yep. Until it happens.
Let it go away, and then it'll happen again.
Yep.
Like,
that all comes down to who we vote to. Who we vote in controls that. I mean, we have the power. We have the most power as people at the end of the day, because we control who goes in. But once we put them in, you know, it's
Yep.
well. Anyway, I want to jump back to a little wrestling just to end this on a more positive note.
There we go.
Yeah, but you've been with Impact for a few years now. You and your brother both. Iconic group OVE, tag titles. You said that you're injured and you're really focused on, you know, getting your body healthy and back, you know, to who you were. What can you say is next for Dave Crist? What's something you can tell your fans to expect from you?
Well, I am going to give my 110% to make sure that I become 110%. I have a lot of fantastic students coming out of my academy to look out for. Obviously, you've met some of my other students, Trey Miguel, Zachary Wentz, and so on. Ace Austin also came and trained with me for a long time. All these kids, they have such a bright future ahead of them.
Yeah.
And it brings me joy to see how talented and how amazing they are as human beings and as performers. I'm going to be doing a lot more stuff to try to be a little bit more active on social media. Not that I'm not already active, but I'm going to try to be more active on social media. I took a little bit of time for my podcast, Wrestling with Sports, but Jason Kendall, Dimitri Young, and Dennis Farrell are over there at Wrestling with Sports.
Awesome.
2 former Major League Baseball players, a fantasy football analyst, and then when I come back in the fold, a professional wrestler, and we just talk about our views. So I have that to look forward to. I have a clothing line in adjacent to Blackcraft that I'll be launching here in October. I'm really excited about. So there's all kinds of really cool things going on with me.
Awesome, man. It sounds really exciting. Is there what's the name of the wrestling school and some information you can give just for people who are watching that maybe live in the Ohio area and want to get into pro wrestling?
It's the OI4K Academy. You can find that on Twitter and Instagram. OI4K Academy.
Awesome. And I'm gonna look into your podcast because that's really cool to actually have. You don't really see a real wrestler, you know, go in and talk about other sports and really bring it all together like that. So that'd be really interesting to see.
It's really fun.
Awesome, man. I want to thank you for your time. I know we've been here for over an hour now, but I want to thank you for your time, and it really means a lot. And I'm excited to see what happens in the future.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. We'll stay in touch. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Bye.